The general and the cleaner. People said the general was cursed. Others whispered that he had no feelings, no heart. Some even believed he was secretly in love with men. How could a man be so strong, so successful, yet have no interest in women? His mother worried herself sick. She sent beautiful, well-mannered girls to his house, hoping one of them would catch his eye. But they all left frustrated. He barely noticed them. His whole life was about strength, power, and discipline. But to understand his story, you have to go back to where it all began, his childhood. The boy with unmatched strength. His name was Chijioke. Born in a small African village, he was different from other children from the start. By the time he was 5, he was already stronger than boys twice his age. His father, a former village wrestler, noticed his unusual strength and encouraged him to train. At 7, he entered his first wrestling match against boys much older than him. The crowd laughed when they saw a small boy stepping into the ring, but moments later, the laughter turned to shock. Chijioke defeated his opponent effortlessly. By the age of 10, he was already competing with adults. At 12, he was the undisputed village wrestling champion. Every year, during the annual festival, he would take on the strongest men from neighboring villages and win. People feared him, respected him, but also saw him as someone different, almost not human. His fame grew. By 15, no one in the village could defeat him. He had nothing left to prove. He could have stayed and become a local legend, but he wanted more. He wanted to be the strongest, not just in his village, but in the world. Joining the army. At 16, he left his village and joined the military. His strength and discipline made him stand out immediately. While other recruits struggled, he excelled. He ran faster, lifted heavier, and fought better than anyone. By 18, he had already made a name for himself. At 25, he was a brigadier general, the youngest in the country's history. Despite his success, one thing remained the same. He had no interest in women. The general who never loved. As Chijioke climbed the military ranks, his family grew concerned. He never spoke about marriage. His mother, worried that something was wrong, started sending women to visit him. They were beautiful, well-mannered, and respectful. But no matter how hard they tried, he never seemed to notice them. The women would leave frustrated. Some said he was too obsessed with his career. Others thought he had no heart. Rumors spread. Some people whispered that he was cursed, others claimed he was gay. But the truth was simpler. Chijioke had never met a woman who moved him. Until one day, everything changed. The woman who changed everything. Her name was Amora. She wasn't a rich woman or a powerful one. She was just a cleaner. She worked quietly, unnoticed, in his military office. She had no interest in romance, just like him. Her only focus was survival. One day, as she was cleaning his office, she noticed a pair of dusty black shoes in the corner. They looked important, so she polished them. She didn't think much of it, just another task. But for Chijioke, it meant everything. The moment that changed his life. That morning, he was rushing to an important military meeting. His mind was on strategy, on war, on leadership. He reached for his special shoes he always polished himself, but something was different. They were already polished. He stopped, staring at them. It was the first time in his life someone had done something for him that wasn't out of fear, respect, or duty. It was a simple act of kindness, but it hit him harder than any fight he had ever been in. "Who did this?" he asked sharply when he arrived at the office. Everyone looked at each other. Then someone pointed at Amora. "You did this?" he asked, looking directly at her. She nodded. "Yes, sir." They were dusty. He didn't say anything for a long time. Then he left for his meeting. But he couldn't stop thinking about her. A new feeling. From that day on, something changed inside him. He started noticing her. The way she moved, the way she walked without seeking attention. He found himself wanting to talk to her. At first, it was just questions, where she was from, how long she had been walking. But soon, the conversations grew deeper. One day, he asked about her dreams. I wanted to be a pilot, she said, but my family was too poor to send me to school. For the first time, Chijioke felt something new, an urge to help, not as a general, but as a man. The decision that shocked everyone. A week later, he called Amora into his office. You will not clean anymore, he said. You are going to aviation school. She was speechless. He arranged everything, her tuition, her living expenses, even a school close to his military base so he could check on her. The news spread like wildfire. His mother was overjoyed. The same people who once called him cursed now called Amora a witch. He ignored hundreds of women, but now he's in love with a cleaner, they said. But Chijioke didn't care. The unexpected love story. Not long after, he proposed. It wasn't a grand, dramatic moment. He simply told her, I want to marry you. She looked at him, her eyes filled with quiet strength, and said, yes. Their wedding was small but beautiful. His mother cried tears of joy. His soldiers respected him even more. Amora continued her training, and years later, she became a pilot. They had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. Chijioke, the man who once cared only about strength, now had a home filled with love. No one called him cursed anymore. Because now, he had found something stronger than strength. Love.